I'm Travel Grandma. I'm in Mendocino County today at the home of Lani Nagy, and Lani is one of my YouTube subscribers. She's also a member of my Facebook community, Travel Grandma, and a Patreon member. Thank you so much, Lani.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
And Lani also has her own channel. She is, tell them the name
Crafty Traveler.
Crafty Traveler. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do a tour of her brand new, to her, RV. It's a Class C and it's a Winnebago, right?
Winnebago, 2019 R22.
Okay. Would you like to start outside, Lani, today?
Let's do that since the sun is out and it feels good.
Sounds good. I'm going to turn this around and then I'm going to hand the show over to you.
Alrighty. Hi, I'm Lani Nagy, Crafty Traveler. And my YouTube channel I started in September of 2019 when we had a travel trailer. And then we decided after 2 years to trade up to the Class C. And this is a 2019 Mini Winnie. It's about 24 feet long. It'll be a lot easier for me to drive it. And we are going to tow a car. So we haven't done that yet, but the next trip we will.
And what's different about your Class C than your trailer?
Well, the way to drive it. It's like driving a big car. You don't have to worry about the trailer and the truck and hooking it up. I did 3 solo trips, and that was the most difficult thing for me, was to hook the trailer to the truck. And we had these big stabilizer bars, sway bars, and they were heavy. Mm-hmm. And it was very difficult for me to get those in place and get it all hooked up.
Do you find that you have more storage in this one as well?
It's probably about the same amount of storage, but it's arranged differently.
All right.
So there is a lot of storage, yes.
And we're going to get into your storage on the inside. How about we show me some storage on the outside?
Sure, I'd be happy to. This first storage compartment is kind of small. So we have tools and extra electrical cording, things like that in there. And in this one, this is a big one.
Oh, that really goes back there, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a big one. And I can actually look at you from the other side.
Okay. Hi there.
And our spare tire is in here, as well as other things.
That just like takes up the whole back end.
Yeah, it's a corner of the back end. We hope to get a hitch or something put on the back to put the tire on the back of the vehicle so we have a little more storage room, but that's a future project.
And you have a nice ladder here.
We have
Get
a
up
ladder
there.
For all the things up there, and
beautiful blue sky today.
there is a solar panel up there because we have solar. This is a hitch that we're going to pull our little Honda CRV. We just got it about a week ago.
And that's it right there, right?
Yes, that's the little Honda. This is the flush valve to flush out the black tank. Gas. It takes regular gas, not diesel.
Can we go back here? Tell us a little bit more about this flush tank. I think people may not know that.
Well, not all vehicles have them, but I think newer RVs have them. We did have one on the trailer that was located in the back of the trailer. This one happens to be located on the side.
Okay.
And you put a hose down there. It doesn't touch anything in the black tank. You just put a hose in there, and what I've been told, it's like a little sprinkling system. When you put the water in, it kind of sprinkles around and helps to flush your black tank. So you want to do that, maybe not every time you flush your black tank. While you're entering your black tank, you want to flush it out. Mm-hmm. And that prevents smells and stuff.
So there is a system, because you have a gray water tank And a black water tank,
and
right?
a freshwater tank.
And a freshwater. So what is your system for emptying those? What's the order?
Okay. So, well, we don't usually empty the fresh water. We just put water into it.
Okay.
Or we hook up to city water in the campground. So for the black tank, we have the black tank here. Now, one of the things that Ernie did, my husband did, when we first got it, this was up underneath and too hard for me to get to.
Yes.
So he put this extension on here, and now it's much easier for me to take care of the cap and hook up the hose.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a black tank drain and a gray tank drain. And after I've hooked it up, what I like to do is pull the gray just a little bit to make sure I'm totally hooked up. Don't want to make that mistake. If you hook it up and you pull the gray just a little bit and you're not quite hooked into the black tank nozzle, gray water will come out, not black water. And then you can push it back in and readjust and make sure you're locked in. Then I would test it again to make sure that it's totally locked in. Push in the gray, then pull the black out, let it all go, and then pull the gray all the way and let it flush out everything and flush out your hose.
Okay. And then every few times you'll use your
Yes.
flushing system.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. A lot of people don't realize that there is an order to doing that.
Yeah, there is. And you got to make sure that that thing's clicked in there correctly. Because if you pull that black and it's not, you have a mess. We have a cable out inlet here.
Oh, that's nice.
And we also have a cable inlet on the other side. And then this is the water city fill when we're hooked up to water in an RV park or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in this storage is our propane. And
Oh, that's a very nice
I believe
tank.
it's 18 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't filled it. I think we filled it. We haven't filled it yet in 2 small trips that we've done.
Okay.
They filled it at the RV place where we bought it. This is the electrical place where the electric cord plugs in.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have a generator. And it's got very low hours on it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you have to do when you're not hooked up to electricity is to make sure that cord goes in there. And there's a plug in the back. I don't know if you can see that, but in the back, there's another plug. And you must plug in the electrical plug into that before you turn the generator on.
Okay.
That's what connects the generator to the RV.
That's a good point. It's a good tip.
So when we unplug, we automatically just plug it in there, whether we're using the generator or not. Those are all the little storage places
Nice.
outside. Not a lot of storage outside, but the big one underneath the bed
That's
is the biggest.
huge.
And we can access that from the inside if we really had to.
Okay.
But it's unlikely that we would have to.
Mm-hmm. And you have dually tires back here because
Yes.
of the weight?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it weighs around 11,000 pounds. I don't remember exactly.
Uh-huh. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go take a look inside. I'm
Okay,
excited
come
to
on
see
in.
it. So now we're on the back end where we were peeking through, huh?
Right, yeah. So in here, there are 2 buttons. And these are for the stabilizers. See those 2 black buttons?
Yes.
And those stabilizers are on each side of the back. We don't have them down right now. But if you could look under, you'll see that
I'll try.
square pad.
Well, let me see. I don't know if I can see under there. Well, this is hit and miss here. I'm not sure we're getting it, but.
I think you did.
Okay.
And so when we're parked, and if we're parked just overnight, we don't usually, unless it's windy and we want to be more stable. But if we're going to stay for a few days, we'll put those down, and that'll help with stabilization. They're only in the back. They don't need them in the front.
Mm-hmm. I noticed on one of your videos on your channel that you have leveling blocks, that you have some really good tips as far as putting strings on them and different colors, so it helps to remember to take them after your before you leave your campground.
They're actually the chalks that you put.
Chalks, okay.
Yeah. And they might be on here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a great tip, so take a look at her channel. She's got a lot of tips on there.
But here they are. Here
Okay.
are the chalks. And if you don't, a lot of people forget to pull their chalks when they are pulling away because they're black. So we've tied a yellow rope around it. So then when you place the chalk, and you're getting ready to leave, you see this yellow rope. And you then have a less likely to forget them.
Nice. That's a great tip. Love that tip.
So we're in the cab of the truck, and I wanted to show Elaine some of the things that we have in the cab here. I'm going to turn the engine on. The first thing is my steering wheel cover, the turquoise, to go with my accents. The next thing, I do have Bluetooth, so I can listen to things on my phone, and I can also make calls and receive calls. Now, here's the screen. That's the backup camera on the back of the RV. And if I turn my signal left, it shows the left side of the RV. And if I turn my signal right, it shows the right side of the RV. So we know what's there. So before we change lanes. Okay?
That's a very nice
Yeah.
feature.
Thank you. And then we have two 12-volt outlets here. And we have an adapter. This is a 12-volt adapter. Plug that in. And I can turn that on. And that little blue light shows that side is on. And I plug this into my little dash cam. I call it the Crafty Cam. So if you see on my videos, it might say Crafty Cam. That's the dash cam that shows things when we are driving. However, it also shows the cab in the back.
Oh.
So if I wanted to talk while I was driving, I could talk there and edit that in.
Does it show both views at the same screen?
You could see it. Here's the front view, and there's the cab view.
Okay. So when you put that in your video, you're seeing both of those, or do you have to edit it in?
You have to edit that part.
Okay.
So when I upload the camera to my computer, because I do most of my editing on Power Director on my computer, it will show A and B. And A is the forward camera, and B is the backward camera.
Okay, and so they're both synced.
They are synced.
Very
but I would have to
nice.
load them separately. But then I think there's a way that I can combine them on Power Director. Haven't learned that yet, but I learn something every time I do it.
Right.
So
I think that's an overlay.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can show you that. We're going to put a link to that because I am ordering that today.
I'll have to get the link for you.
Okay.
Okay. One other thing we have is, I'm going to turn the engine off now. We don't need that anymore. And as the power dies, the camera will go off automatically. This is a battery booster. And it is connected to the coach batteries that if for some reason the battery in the truck doesn't work, you can click that on and it'll jump the truck battery with the coach battery.
Okay.
So that was a good
Nice
thing
feature.
that we had. Nice feature, yes. And this little light, when it turns red, this is the brake indicator. So when we are towing and we put the brake on, it indicates that the brakes are working in the car that we're pulling behind us.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
All right.
there we go. So that's the cab.
How many does your RV sleep?
It sleeps 6, but I don't think it'd be very comfortable for large adults.
Okay. And what are the sleeping arrangements?
The sleeping arrangements are the main bed. It's kind of a short queen and it's narrow.
Did you make the quilt?
I did make the quilt.
Okay.
And I made the pillowcases.
All right.
I finally found pillowcases that had Class C RVs on them.
Oh, I see.
Of the Class C RV on the fabric.
I see.
Yeah. And then the breakfast nook makes into a bed.
Okay.
But it's not a queen. It's kind of a double or a full size.
Mm-hmm.
One adult is comfortable in this. 2 children would probably be all right.
So does your table then go down as a platform?
It actually, we have to lift the table up and take the stand off, and then it fits on little shelves, ledges on there, and then the 2 corner cushions are taken off. They can be thrown up on the bunk or in the front.
So they're not part of the bed itself?
No. The part of the bed itself is the seat cushions.
Okay.
And the back cushion that's back there. And then there's a little gap. So we have 2 little cushions that fill in the gap.
Okay. Yeah.
And there is storage under the front side and the back, but not under this side.
I'm going to guess what's under there.
Go ahead.
Because I used to have an RV. I bet it's the water tank.
It is the water heater tank.
Water heater
hot
tank.
water tank.
Okay.
And the inverter.
Ah,
and
okay.
a bunch of wiring. When we bought it, it was nailed down. Ernie's curious. So he pulled up the nails to see what was under there, and now he knows what's under there.
Okay. It's good to know what's in your...
Yes. And the other thing he did for me was we have this power strip that he attached to the wall. So when we are on shore power, we have all kinds of plugs. And we have these little USB adapters. And what he did is he took the wire down and put it underneath and drilled a hole in the board there and under the board here to have the cord come out, because the actual electrical outlet is under here.
Well, that's a convenience.
Yeah. So we didn't have to plug it and unplug it. It's there. And it will just stay plugged in all the time.
Okay.
There's also a USB. There's 2 USB plugs down there as well. And there is a 12-volt plug down there as well. And there is you can see it up in this corner. There is a 110, a 12-volt, and USB. And he just fixed this power cord for me and attached it to the shelf so it wouldn't fall down. Because I'm kind of a wimp and I have an electric blanket. So my electric blanket can be plugged in to the 110 when I need it. And I also use a CPAP, so I can plug my CPAP either into 110 via the power cord, or I can use it on my 12-volt when we're boondocking. So there is a bunk overhead that's supposed to be a queen size. I'll never sleep up there because I'm not going to climb the ladder to get up and down. So we store bedding there. There are cushions. And Ernie's also made me a box, if you want to come around this way, kind of a frame. There's a cushion under it, and it's partially under the cushion, and then it also bumps up against this board over here. So I have my craft supplies up there.
Oh, that's good. Gotta have your crafts.
Gotta have them.
Craftsy.
Yeah, gotta have them.
All right. So, yeah, it would be a tight 6.
It would be a very tight 6. If you had small people or children, that would be a different story. In fact, my husband already tried sleeping in the back bed with me, or laying down in the back bed. He goes, no, I'm claustrophobic. Okay. So when we went on our little trip, I slept back there with the dog, and he slept on the breakfast nook. And he said he was very comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next, let's show your kitchen.
All right. Elaine wants me to show you the kitchen, but before I do that, I got to show you this little trash can. A friend of mine had made for me on somebody from Esty.
Aww.
And it has a Class C on it, and it even says Crafty Mini Winnie, because the name of my Mini Winnie is Crafty.
That is special.
Yeah.
What's your friend's name?
My friend is Marjorie, and you'll see her on videos that I do with Mendocino Lady Glampers.
Nice. That is your new group.
Yes. That's
We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, we'll talk
later
about that
in this
later.
video.
Good. So here's my kitchen, and I have a cutting board here that I could place on the stove or the sink. It's a nice size sink, and I use a little basin, and those things kind of travel in there because they all kind of go up here. I don't have a lot of room countertop wise, but Ernie made that for me.
Oh, that's nice.
So I have more room, and I actually have a drain board that I can put there that will boost up a little bit, and it can drain into the sink when I've done dishes.
Very nice. That's a good addition.
Yeah, and they're just the little clamps that you clamp down to put them up and down.
Right. Terrific.
Yes. Okay. 3-burner propane stove, also an oven, microwave oven.
Is that a convection?
No, it's just a plain microwave.
Okay.
Cabinet, and I had these in my trailer that I had before, so I put my glasses and cups there, and this is where all the dishes and stuff. And I like putting my tension bars in a cross. They seem to hold better, because lots of times before I had them across here and they'd just be falling down.
And then you can reach in also
Yes.
and not have to always take them off. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
They stay better and they hold everything in place.
That's a great tip, Lani.
Okay, good. And then underneath, this little trash can I got on Amazon. It just clips to any drawer. And then underneath, I have this wire rack that I also had in my trailer. And it holds canned goods and other things down there. They stay a little bit more organized. We don't really have room for a spice rack, so we put our spices down there in a little plastic bucket.
Now, I understand that your husband's quite the gourmet cook at home.
Yes, he's the main cook. I cook to live. He cooks for fun.
And does he like to cook in your RV as well?
Yeah, he grills a lot. We grill all of our
Outdoor,
meat.
huh?
So we grill it at home, as well as we have a small grill that we take when we go camping.
Nice.
Yeah. And then these drawers hold my silverware and some utensils, and then this is kind of the catch-all drawer. Mm-hmm. In my trailer I had no drawers.
Yeah.
I have more drawers in this. And all those things stay where they are. We put the magnet holder for the knives, and I have some command putty under those things so they don't move. However, the tea cans are free because I have to get them out, and this just fits in there. And that all stays as we're going down the road. We don't have the refrigerator turned on, and there's nothing in there. So when we are home parked, I always like to put a little towel in here to keep it from closing all the way, and that prevents mold from happening, as well as any odors or anything. You know, of course, when I come home, I take everything out and I wipe it all down, but I like having that little towel in there just to hold it open a little bit.
That's another great tip.
So here's the freezer and the refrigerator.
That's a really big size.
It is nice.
Do you know how many cubic feet?
I think it's 6, but I'm not absolutely sure. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, my husband, he's a gadget guy. He likes to have a thermometer in there. And then that little blue thing is a fan. Oh. So when we're traveling, we turn the little battery-operated fan, and it helps to circulate the air.
I also know one thing about RVs is when you do park them, they need to be level so your refrigerator works, correct?
pretty level. I would say at least 90% level. This refrigerator also, it runs on propane, it runs on 110, and it will run on 12 volt if we turn the inverter on.
And is it automatic switch over?
Except for the 12 volt. We would have to turn the inverter on, which is up here, for the 12 volt to work. We have a generator on board, so we can use the generator if we need to charge things. We have 190 watts of solar on board, and we have the 1,000 watt inverter. So I don't think we're ever going to run out of power.
Okay.
And one of the things about the generator, I asked, well, okay, how long will the generator go if the gas is low? Because it comes off the gas from the gas tank, and this takes regular gas. And the gentleman said that if you get below 5 gallons, the generator will stop.
For safety.
For safety, so you won't run out of gas. You have to go get gas by then.
Okay.
Right.
How different, now you had a trailer before.
Right.
How different is that setup from your trailer than it is in your RV?
I actually did 3 little solo trips locally in the trailer where I hooked up the trailer and unhooked it and hitched it and plugged it in and did the black tank and everything. Hooking the trailer up to the car, I always had to have somebody guide me. And then our trailer was 24 feet. This is 23 feet, 10 inches, essentially 24 feet. So it's the same as the trailer, but we don't have that truck on the front to make it longer. So when I hooked the trailer up to the truck, we had sway bars. And the sway bars were heavy. They were almost 40 pounds. And that's pretty heavy for me. Now, when I was hooking up the trailer to the truck, and I have videos in my playlist about this, I used a little garden bench to sit on, and then I could pick up the bar and plug and hook it up. And then I would have to go around and hook up the other one. I don't have to do that here.
Right. But you did not have a generator in your camper.
We did not have a generator in the trailer, but we had, my husband put a Stromberg tray in front of the trailer over the propane tanks. And we do have a generator that sat up there.
Okay.
And he chained it all down. So we could plug it in to recharge. In fact, when we did our desert trip this last January, we did boondock for 4 days. And he had to turn the generator on for an hour or 2 each day. First of all, to charge the batteries in the trailer, and also to charge my Jackery, because I needed to use that in the trailer for my CPAP at night.
So this works also from your house battery, correct? All your gadgets here, right?
All the gadgets,
House
except
battery.
the microwave
Right.
and the air conditioning,
Right.
will work, including the TVs, will work on 12 volt.
Okay. But when you had your trailer, did you have a separate house battery in that as well?
Yeah, we had two 12.
And that had to be hooked up separately when you hooked up your trailer hitch?
There was a plug that you
Yeah.
plugged into the truck
Okay.
that also charged those batteries, as well as did the lights on the
Okay.
trailer.
So it's a little bit more intense with having a trailer and a truck than having it all in one, all
Correct.
enclosed.
Yeah, because after the hitch was in and the sway bars were in,
Yeah, a lot of connections.
then you plug into the electric.
Yeah.
And then you also had a breakaway cord cable, and there was one other cable I don't remember. But the big part of doing it, 2 of the big things that were different that bothered me was hooking the truck to the trailer by myself. Couldn't do that. I had to have somebody guide me. And those sway bars were heavy.
And what about backing up and getting into your campsite?
I didn't have to back up to get into any campsites, because when I went on those 3 little trips, I had pull-throughs.
Okay.
But when I came home, I had to have Ernie guide me back because I parked it in the driveway.
Okay.
Now, we just point and go. So these cabinets are above the breakfast nook.
Oh, I love your lights.
Thank you. And they all twinkle and change and whatever. So I got these little turquoise bins from Dollar Store. So I have lights and things here. We have our coffee equipment there. We have some other tablecloths. We have a doggy bin. So each bin is organized a purpose. Exactly. And they all fit in there. And they're only from the dollar store. So if they break, I'll just go to the dollar store and get another one.
Yeah.
I didn't want to spend a lot of money on that. This is where I put my shoes. And my husband has another one he uses. But this is dual purpose because our dog can jump up on here and then jump up on the bed.
I like that. That you put your shoes in there.
It's still too high, so I don't let him jump off. But he can at least jump up. Okay. And
perhaps we can bring your dog in later and we can meet your dog.
Okay. Okay. And this is the wardrobe. It's a nice size wardrobe. We've already got clothes in here because we're getting ready in another week to go on another little trip over to the coast. And then more drawers. So this is Ernie's kind of catch-all drawer.
Mm-hmm. You have a lot of storage in here.
Yes, we do. And this drawer is a really good heavy-duty drawer, and it has 2 latches. And I have all my pots and pans and cookware in here.
Oh, okay.
And I have these cloth placemats and things to kind of put in between so they don't rattle. That's one thing about a motorhome. Everything rattles. But you just get used to it.
Right.
Now, one other cabinet. This is really interesting cabinet. And it is a very deep cabinet. It goes back like 23 inches. So Ernie made me this cupboard. And I can just pull it out. And there's my Blue Eddy. There's a little vacuum. I store the little heater in here and other things. But I can get to it a lot easier with that little drawer that he made.
Oh, that's nice.
And here's the bathroom. This is one of the big renovations, was this bathroom. This had glass doors. And there was a glass piece here, and then the door was actually here. And it opened this way. Oh. So there was like this much room to get into the shower. So we had to go in sideways. There was like this much room. Mm-hmm. So Ernie took all that out, and we got a curved shower curtain and put up the shower curtain I had in my trailer because I like the colors. And there's the shower. And we have a skylight over the shower. We have an exhaust fan vent here. And lights. Mm-hmm. And
I also see an exhaust fan up above your bed too.
There's a fan up there. Well, it's actually just a vent. It doesn't have a fan yet.
Okay.
Ernie's going to see if there's a power source to that. Uh-huh. And if there's a 12-volt power source, we're going to put in a second max fan.
Oh,
There is a max fan over the bunk in the front.
And then you have that's your air conditioning up there?
Yes, that's the air conditioning.
Okay.
Okay. There's a cabinet here.
Wow, this is
for the bathroom.
Oh, that goes in deep too.
Yeah.
Huh?
And then
corner one
there, that didn't have a door, so I put those bars there and just put the toilet paper. And then there's another cabinet under here. Mm-hmm. I gotta organize that. Ernie thinks he's gonna put another little shelf in there.
Okay.
And we have all kinds of stuff.
And then you said you wanted to put a medicine cabinet?
Yeah, I'd like to find a medicine cabinet and put it here. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of room, and it wouldn't be as big as this mirror, so we'd take the mirror out. So there's a TV over the back bed, and then there's a bigger TV up here over the bunk, and this pulls out and turns, so it can be seen from the breakfast nook.
Okay. What are these DVDs up here?
This is a DVD player, which Ernie's going to replace with a Blu-ray because he likes Blu-ray. And then we store our DVDs up here and some hats and things. Mm-hmm. And then when he changes the Blu-ray, this out for the Blu-ray, I told him you're going to put the DVD back in the bedroom. And then I can watch a DVD in bed.
And then you've got some keys here.
Yeah, keys and hats and Good old command hooks all over.
Now, when you're traveling by yourself, let's talk a little bit about safety.
Okay, want to sit?
Well, can you get from your from the back here into your cab easy?
I can do it slowly, but I can do it. And I'm 70 years old, and I have bilateral total knees. I can get in here pretty easily if I needed to drive away. And then I can get up like that.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing is when you're by yourself. You want to be able to move back and forth in case you need to leave.
Exactly. That was another thing about the trailer. Of course, the 3 times I went, I was camping with friends in an RV park, so it wasn't like I was going to have a problem.
But that's a big consideration that people oftentimes don't think about.
That's true.
So how long have you been traveling in whatever vehicle or trailer or RVs that you've had over the years?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because right behind me is a picture of my RV history.
Oh, interesting.
And I do have a video on that. And so I started in 1957. My folks bought a Crown trailer, a 16-foot Crown trailer. And my sister was 6 months old when we went up to the Eastern Sierras for the first vacation with that trailer. And that was the first time I had gone in a camper. My husband and I got married, and we bought a 1975 Ford van. Now, it wasn't anything fancy. It was just a cargo van. And it had the 2 captain seats in the front and a bench seat in the back. Well, what he did is he just built a platform. That was our bed. And everything underneath, that was all our camping equipment. The next vehicle we had was a big Ford truck, double cab, with a Lance camper on it. And we bought that rig in 1985. And my children were like 5 and 7. And it was a few years later that we bought a 25-foot Fireball trailer because we kind of outgrew the camper. 20 years later that we finally bought the 2020 Passport trailer that we had. And my previous videos will show the Passport trailer. So after that is when I found the RV. I found the Mini Winnie.
Of all of those vehicles and trailers that you've had, is this your favorite so far?
So far, it's my favorite. It's easy to drive. It's like driving a fat car. It's not very long. We are going to be pulling a little car in the future, and so we have to contend to that. But that's still not as long as the truck and the trailer would have been.
So it sounds like you've already had quite a bit of experience from traveling with your family starting out. So, but when you did buy this Class C, did you get extensive training? Because that's one of the complaints a lot of times when people will buy something from a dealership and they take it home and they go, I don't know how to empty the tanks. So what has been your experience?
Well, with the RV, we had a very good walkthrough. And I have a whole video about that.
Okay.
However, with the Passport trailer, I had done the research on the Passport. And because Ernie and I had owned trailers before, we knew how to dump the tanks. We knew how to plug it into electricity. We knew those kinds of things. Ernie knew how to hook it up to the truck, how to tow it. However, the young man that walked us through our trailer, I'm not going to say what company, really didn't know what he was talking about. And I was asking questions, and he couldn't answer my questions. And I had done extensive research on that trailer, so I knew about it. So I started explaining things to him. Anyway, I asked him how long he'd worked for that company, and he'd only worked there for 2 months. And he was doing a walkthrough with us. Now, the total opposite was when we bought this RV. That young man knew what he was talking about. He had worked in that company for over 2 years, and starting out by doing the detailing of new, deliveries, and then starting to do walkthroughs. So he knew exactly what he had a checklist. He was very organized. He went specifically to each thing. And we asked questions along the way. A couple times I got ahead and said, well, what about this? He goes, that's on my checklist. Let's get to it. Because he didn't want to forget anything in between. And so he brought us through the RV, and there was only a couple little questions we had after we got it home, and we called the dealer and they answered the question right away.
So for somebody new that hasn't had previous experience like you have, and like the gentleman at the RV place obviously had a checklist, is that a tip that you might share with somebody going in to buy something? Have your own checklist?
Have your own checklist. Before you even decide what you're going to get, go on YouTube and do research. Watch how they go through different RVs to decide which one might be best for you, because a lot of people buy a big expensive RV and then it's too big, or it's too, or maybe it's too small and they can't fit their family. So it might even be a good thing to actually rent an RV. There's a lot of rental companies out there. We never rented, but I did have a friend recently who rented a Class C, and they enjoyed it a lot. So I hope they buy one, because I'd like to go travel with them. But, if you're a brand new person, you don't know anything about it, research, YouTube, go look around, talk to different dealers. If you get somebody that's very accommodating and answering all your questions and helping you, like the lady did when we bought this, she was wonderful, without being high pressure, that's a good thing. If you get somebody that says, oh, they're open, go look around. Go look around, but maybe you don't want to deal with that dealer. Customer service has a lot to do with it also.
For someone that doesn't have a lot of experience as far as knowing where to go, where am I going to travel on my next trip? They have some ideas. I want to go to the mountains, or I want to go to the national parks. What are some tips that you might share? Maybe some apps or a system that you like to do as far as planning your adventures?
Okay, we belong and subscribe to RV Trip Wizard, and I map out all my routes from there. And when you go on to RV Trip Wizard, they'll give you a 7-day free trial, but then I think it's $79 a year or something like that. But it's well worth it if you're going to do any extensive traveling, where it lists and pictures all the RV parks, and you can program it to look at national parks. You can program it to look at state parks. We also belong to Harvest Host Boondockers, so I can go on that website. One of the interesting things about RV Trip Wizard, if you find a place on, say, a Harvest Host, and you find your camp area where you're going to be, winery, whatever it is, you can copy and paste that link to RV Trip Wizard, and it will zoom you right in to that location. And you can add that to your schedule, to your itinerary. So you still have to go on to Harvest Host and make sure you're approved to go to that location, either by email or calling them or whatever. But once you've got it confirmed, then you can plug that in to RV Trip Wizard, put it into your itinerary, and you can make any notes. And sometimes the Harvest Host or Boondocker will give you some instructions about how to get to their location, or their phone number, or whatever. And you can copy and paste that and put it in the note section of RV Trip Wizard. And then all of that could be printed out, or they have an app you can put on your phone, and then you can look at things up. So those are two main things that I do.
So Lonnie's going to go get her dog so you can meet him. There she is.
In the camper. Up in the camper. In the camper.
Oh, cute.
Good boy. boy.
Now, what's your dog's name?
His name is Snickers.
Snickers.
And he is a party-colored schnauzer. He's black and white and got some gray spots on him too. And a real cute point is he has a little black heart right here on his left side.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
He just turned 5.
Uh-huh.
And he loves to go camping.
You gonna go camping, Snickers?
Yeah, he likes to go in the camper.
Oh, look at that
Sit.
face.
Good
How
boy.
cute is that?
Good boy. I have a couple of shorts with him.
Okay, I have one last question to ask, and I think this is kind of an important one. Campground campsite etiquette.
Well, most places have quiet hours after 10 o'clock. So you don't run your generator after 10 o'clock. Sometimes they don't want you to turn the generator on until about 8 a.m. So that's the first thing I would think of, which also is other noise, music, partying, whatever. Everybody needs that quiet time to rest and sleep.
When you first get to a campground, what is your routine? Do you have a routine as far as hooking up? Do you obviously check in first?
Right. Check in first, find the site, look at the site before you go into it, back in or pull through. And now we'll be having a tow vehicle, so we find the site. If we have to back in, we have to take the tow vehicle off the RV. If it's a pull through, we wouldn't have to do that. When we're stopping like for just one night somewhere, I try and always get a pull through. We haven't really gone to Walmart or any of the truck stop or anything like that, but I can see us doing that in the future. So once we've parked and gotten level, that's important too, then we hook up the utilities. And with this vehicle, that's all we have to do. We don't have to unhook anything if we're in the right kind of site.
So you're 30 amp?
Yes, we have 30 amp.
Okay, because there's 30 and there's 50. The 50s are more for like Class A's, big vehicles.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. Okay, and then you hook up your water.
Right. We hook the water up to the city water. And we don't always hook up the sewer hose at that time. In fact, if we're just staying overnight, we may not hook up the sewer hose.
Okay.
We may not shower for that time period. We'll wait until we get to an actual RV park where we might be staying for a few days. And then my husband will hook up the sewer hose.
Okay.
But it's not recommended that you empty the sewer hose until you've got a good fill in it. So if we're there for a few days, we'll keep an eye on our board to see how it's filling. And if it gets above half or 3/4, then we'll go out and dump it.
And that helps with the pressure that
Correct.
you get when you're dumping.
Correct.
Do you sometimes use the shower at the campground?
I haven't yet. With the trailer, I just felt more comfortable traveling around because COVID was still around, using my own bathroom and my own shower.
And because you're hooked up with their water, you don't have to worry that you're wasting your water.
Exactly.
In your own tank.
Right.
Great. Any other tips as far as campground etiquette?
Walking through people's camp.
Yes, that's a big one.
That's a big one. And if you do have to walk through and the person's there outside, you might wave to them and say, would you mind if I walk through your camp? But, and if they're not there and their vehicles are gone or whatever, you could sneak through. But walking through people's camp when they are at their campsite, to me, is really rude. We had a situation last summer where we were in kind of a parking lot campground, and we were kind of the last site before the driveway. And so especially kids, teenagers, we're walking right between our trailer and our neighbor's trailer. And of course, the dog gets upset and he barks and barks and barks.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, about the second day, we had a picnic table. We turned the picnic table parallel to the trailer, and that kind of blocked that space.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have hardly any traffic then. So sometimes you might have to turn the picnic table or put out a table or something that keeps people away from your particular space. But not always, you don't always have a chance to do that. So,
do you worry about theft, leaving your lawn chairs out? And
we haven't yet.
okay.
Right now, we're strapping the lawn chairs to the back of the trailer and to the back of the RV on a bicycle frame.
Okay.
They're not fancy lawn chairs. They're kind of old. We've had them for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we want anybody to steal them, but we're not as worried. If I went and bought $100 chairs, I'd be putting them in the basement.
Okay. And you have plenty of room back there,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So you're going to carry them anyway.
Right. Right.
Great. Thank you so much, Lani. I learned a lot, and I'm sure my viewers learned a lot. And check out Lani's channel, Crafty Traveler. Subscribe to it. You'll get a lot more tips.
And stay crafty when you're traveling.
And I'll see you on the road. To join my Facebook community, go to facebook.com/groups Travel Grandma.